With the arrest of 23 protesters confirmed in court today as legitimate, the court has determined the security measure of arrest in jail for 11 individuals, house arrest for a further 2, while the remaining 10 were freed under obligation to appear. Today's judicial session was accompanied by significant police presence imposing strong security measures around Tirana's court, while the media was not given permission to enter the courtroom. The Prime Minister hosted the European Socialist Party, reiterating that the EC's recommendations for opening negotiations for Albania's membership with the EU is the #1 priority. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 4th of April 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. The court decided on the security measure of arrest in jail for 11 detainees arrested following Saturday's protest. A further 2 were handed down the security measure of house arrest, with the remaining 10 let free under the obligation to appear in court. The relator, Alma Ahmeti, described the arrests as legitimate and accepted the prosecution's requests. Opposition MPs who attended the court session for the 23 arrested called on citizens to join the opposition in civil disobedience, considering the court's decision as subservient to the orders of the Prime Minister. Chairman of the Democratic Party's parliamentary group, Edmond Sparho, said the decision was embarrassing. The judge just issued the decision that Rama asked for. At this point, it seems that civil disobedience is the only solution, said Edmond Sparho. Protesters waiting outside the court doors, mostly family members of detained persons, also considered the decision shameful. The court's decision is expected to be appealed by the defendant's lawyers, continuing the case at the Court of Appeals. Numerous police officers established a strong security around Tirana's courthouse, where the session to determine the security measures for those detained during the National Highway protest was being held. 23 protest detainees were transported in groups from the police stations they were held at in order to arrive at the court. The trial panel decided that the session would be conducted behind closed doors, a decision which brought even more tension, especially amongst opposition MPs who sought to be present together with family members. Vice Chairman of the Democratic Party, Edmond Sparho, in a phone conversation, has asked the Interior Minister, Fatmir Jafai, to withdraw police forces and allow the opposition's participation in the hall. Appearing before the media, Sparho wore the evidence of violence used against him, explaining that to him, these are clear signs that we are being governed by a dictatorship. Police forces did not allow us to enter the hall, and the situation is a sign of a dictatorship. He cannot force us away with violence, said Edmond Sparho. After a short break, the judicial body decided to allow MPs, but not the media. The MPs themselves provided insights as to the developments in the session to the media. The hall, filled with the deputies of the Democratic Party and the SMI, was also being monitored in accordance with stringent measures. Other family members continued their protests from outside the court. In a crowded hall, accused persons of the National Highway protest have expressed that they have not violated the law. In the given testimonies, they said that they were provoked during the rally. The detainees have also accused police of having arrested them violently and in the middle of the night. We have not set the barriers there. The barrier was placed by the state by imposing taxes and tariffs where we could not afford it. Other people should be in our place instead of us. I have never performed a criminal act in my life. They have taken us from our homes like criminals. It is not true that we were arrested at 10 o'clock in the morning. We were arrested at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, said one of the detainees. Another testimony has been posted by the Democratic Party, where the lawyer of Florin Onuzi, a father with 3 little children and without any income, stated that during the arrest, acts of terror were exercised, with the children negatively affected by the scene. Honourable Judge, this man came out in protest because he has nothing to eat. I represent 3 people here, and for these 3 people, I have volunteered without any kind of interest and without receiving any kind of monetary value, said the lawyer. The detainees have voiced that they came out in protest against imposing the tariff on the grounds that it will further aggravate their already extremely difficult financial position. A few days before the European Commission is set to decide whether or not to open negotiations for Albania, the Assembly of the European Socialist parties convened in Albania. At the press conference, Prime Minister Rama said that the attention of Albania should focus on the Commission's decision and then to convince all member states to give the green light. Initially, we seek the European Commission's recommendation. Once this is obtained, we must aim for the efficacy of this decision from all member countries, said Rama. Rama urged the EU to deliver on what had previously been agreed and also took a moment to comment on the situation of Kosovo. The EU to keep its word and liberalise visas for Kosovo, declared Rama. In his speech, President of the European Socialist Party, Sergei Stanishev, confirmed support for the opening of the negotiations and called for countries to work towards this. Forward are the opportunities that should not be missed, said Sergei Stanishev. The Prime Minister did not answer questions about domestic political developments, reiterating his long-standing position that he does not speak about Albanian politics in any language other than Albanian or in the presence of those who do not speak Albanian. Tirana has been plunged into traffic chaos the past 2 days, with protests erupting in a number of areas across the capital. Protests began outside the police directorate last weekend, blocking the road and causing diversions to public transport. Today's hearing session, held at Tirana's court to determine the security measure to be applied to the arrested, saw strong police measures implemented, which also caused heavy traffic in the centre of the capital. With approximately 1,000 police officers present to maintain security, vehicles were not able to pass, resulting in citizens being delayed in arriving at their destinations, such as their workplaces. Despite the planned police presence for today's hearing, drivers complained that they were not informed of the potential traffic issues. The Mayor of Tropoja, Besnik Dušaj, has declared his support of the protest by the residents of the Kukës district against the tariff for the travel on the national highway. He went on to demand the release of the individuals who are being detained over actions taken during last Saturday's protest. I strongly urge the government and the justice bodies to release the 23 protesters who were simply protesting in dignity for their lives. They did not protest for political reasons and no other reason besides the poverty that has plagued them and all families in our district, stated Mayor Dušaj. He says that the payment at the determined value is outright unaffordable for the residents of the area who constitute the poorest district in Albania, while stressing that this would aggravate the economic situation of the district. Dušaj says that the protest is not political, but indicative of the inhabitants of Tropoja, Kukës and Has, that they are poor, and it is with this in mind that he issued a request for the removal of the tax for residents. We want to show the government that our area, our district, our municipality is very poor. There are a large number of unemployed people, with many families not just in poverty, but in misery. Investments are needed to decrease unemployment and increase the development of the area, and not to exacerbate their bad situation even further with more taxes, he added. Official support for the protests against the national highway tariff have also been given by the municipalities of Kukës and Hasi. The Armos refinery oilmen entered the premises of Balch oil processing plant by force, physically colliding with the company's administrator, Bulis Energy, which has taken over the plant. The situation escalated into a physical clash after the arrival of the new company's administrator there, which, according to the oilmen, has signed individual contracts with 150 employees. For more than 1 hour, they took possession of the plant while calling on the 150 colleagues working inside to join their protest. The head of the Confederations, Tafkoletsi, asked the oilmen to head towards Tirana on Friday, just like the citizens of Kukës. The oilmen of Balch, just like the Kuksians, must go to Tirana on Friday, demanded Tafkoletsi. Oilmen gathered in protest to seek the resumption of work at the plant for collective contracts and receipt of overdue wages. They left the plant with the warning that if the government and the company's directors do not sit down for negotiations, then they will protest every morning and cause disruption to the operation of the plant. Leisure police have arrested another person accused of having illegally and abusively benefited through the receipt of coastal land in the Rana Ehedun area of Shëngjin. The police officially confirmed the arrest of 59-year-old Zef Gjini as one of the 11 people declared wanted after the Ranishtjak 4 operation to determine abuse of land ownership in coastal areas. According to the investigative file of Leisure's prosecution office, the 59-year-old Gjini appears to have been a beneficiary of land despite having no legal right to claim it. Based on the evidence and that the case includes allegations of forgery of documents, the security measure, arrest in jail, was decided as necessary for Zef Gjini. In the framework of the operation, 12 individuals were arrested, among who is even the mayor of Leisure, Fran Frokaj. A further 11 people have been declared wanted. That's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.